Hey Gearheads, thanks for tuning in. So when I started this series of what you're working on, I thought it'd be a nice filler, start off with my cars, maybe work my way up to some other people's cars, maybe even have some of you send in footage of your cars, and that way we can kind of put some more content on the channel in between me working on episodes and things like that. Of course, I figured the first car I would feature would be my own 66 Chevelle, which you've all seen the burnout on the main intro. And also have seen some of the episodes, I'm sure, of me working on it, but I never did. So, here it is. This is going to be the full length, whatever that means, episode of what you're working on my 66 Chevelle. I'm going to bring it outside. Sunlight is finally shining this year for the first time this year, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot some footage of it outside, and I'll keep talking here, and that way you don't have to stare at my face the whole time. What you working on? For starters, the car is a 1966 Chevelle Super Sport model. Now, in 66, they did have different model and VINs for a 66 Super Sport and a 66 Malibu and a 66 Deluxe 300. So they're all going to have different numbers, so you can tell if a 66 Chevelle is a true Super Sport by looking at the third digit in the VIN on the body tag. It should be a 138. If it's a 136, that's going to be a Malibu, and if it's a 134 or 5, that's going to be an El Camino or a Deluxe 300 or something like that. That may or may not be completely accurate as far as the 3s and 4s and 5s. I do know a 6 is a Malibu and an 8 is a Super Sport. So that's all that matters. It is a true Super Sport car. Now, this car was picked up in Virginia back in 1999. Did not look like the way it looks now. It was still red, but it was a dull red finish. The quarters were pretty much falling off of it. It had a 454 engine in it that was like a 71 engine. It was kind of really low on power. It actually had a power glide transmission and an open diff rear. Now, it may have been the 12-bolt rear, but I don't think it was really working the way it's supposed to anymore. So the car was pretty weak when I bought it. I've done couple little things to it, kind of here and there, bringing it up to date, fixing whatever breaks. If you've seen some of the episodes, I've done the suspension, I've redone the brakes, got new wheels and tires, kind of got it to where it needed to be drivable and things like that. I did replace the trunk floor and the gas tank, things like that. And then we did a 2-week restoration back in 2005 where we stripped the whole car down, actually had the quarters replaced, partial quarters replaced, a little section of one of the fenders on the passenger side, and that's when the paint job was done. Got some new chrome for it, did new trim, new bumpers, and door handles. It's all aftermarket stuff, so this car is not a show car by any means. It's just something I like driving, and I enjoy it. So try not to spend too much money bringing it up to date or fixing things that are broken on it. After the 2005 restoration, I was able to find a 1966 396 block and heads. So the two questions I always get asked when I'm out in this car: is it a true Super Sport? Yes, as I told you, we can check the 138 VIN. And people would always ask, does it have a 396 engine? Because it's an SS 396 car, so that's what I have from the factory. I got tired of telling people no, it was a 71 454 whatever engine. So I actually found a guy that had a 66 396 block and heads. I bought that, and I brought it to a race builder, and he went ahead and built me an engine. He was asking me, what kind of horsepower do you want out of this? And I'm like, I don't care, it's not a race car, like 300, 350? He's like, they came stock with 375. I was like, okay, then whatever. So the engine was built. It was actually ran and dynoed at 440 horsepower. That was, of course, years ago, but since then I have replaced the transmission. I have a Race Prep Turbo 400. It'll snap your head in all 3 gears, which is really cool. And the rear end has been rebuilt with a 342 Eaton Posi. So the car is now a Posi, so that's all that really matters. Exhaust, it does have Sanderson shorty headers. Because the car is actually lowered, I have lowering springs all the way around, a Hotchkiss 2-inch lowering kit. So that lowered the car, so I had to do the shorty headers. They work a lot better than full-length headers. You don't bottom out everywhere. And then it's just a 2.5-inch exhaust with Dynamax Super Turbo mufflers, which I really like the sound of. It's not that open tinny sound. It's not that annoying blapper sound. It's just a really good, deep, throaty muscle car sound. And if you're at the certain amount of RPMs, like when you're driving, there's no droning, there's no noise in the interior, so it's really nice. The rest of the engine is, like I said, it's a 66 396 block and heads. The block has been rebuilt. The heads have not. They're actually in good shape, so it's still got the original hardened seats and everything in there, so the valves are happy. I did have to replace the cam after a long time. I know I've posted that video recently, and a lot of guys are like, oh, if it's a 66, you got to have the cam groove, oiling groove put into it, or buy that one. I put the same cam in it that was in it, and it lasted a long time, so I'm assuming it has that. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'm not the smartest guy. For the intake and carb, I went with an Edelbrock Performer manifold and a Holley. I am a Holley guy. I've always had Holleys, so this is actually 850 double pumper, which is probably a little bit too much for this engine, but it's running good on it, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. I may decide to upgrade the heads later on down the road, maybe get some nice aluminum heads and just give it a little more power. But for now, with it running, I'd rather concentrate on other things. It does have power steering, which I upgraded, and I just did the power brake booster, which was an incredible upgrade. If you have an old hot rod and it's not all original and you drive it, definitely look into power steering and power brakes. It really makes a car more drivable and more fun to be out on the road. The interior is basically stock appearing, but there's little touches here and there. If you don't know these cars, you might not catch, especially on the door panels in the rear seat. They have been reupholstered and have kind of this tuck and roll effect to them. And the same for the package tray has been duplicated to match that. You can see it's not in the nicest shape. I actually put those speakers in when we were getting married just to have something to plug up the holes on the package tray, because there was nothing there, so I actually ripped those out of my C10 at the time that I had. So the speakers are there. I don't even have a radio yet. I do plan on doing a custom auto sound radio like the one I put in the ramp truck. So we're going to be looking into doing something like that. I do have two front speakers as well, and I have a subwoofer standing by. I just need to get an amp and wire that all up. So that'll hopefully be a future episode. The front seats were stock. I took them out and traded for these seats because I thought they'd be more comfortable and everything. That was like 20 years ago, so might not have been the best idea to do that, but they are, from what I remember, 91 Eagle Talon seats, and I'm actually going to be selling them. So if anybody's interested in buying them, be near Raleigh, North Carolina, because I'm not shipping these things, but I am taking these out. If you've seen the intro, the first shot of the intro is actually the 66 Chevelle bucket seats that I bought that are up here on the shelf in the garage, and I'm going to be pulling those down and putting those in the car sooner or later. I don't know when, but I'll get to it. The shifter is a B&M Z-Gate. It's one of their most cost-effective shifters. I actually bought one years ago when I worked at Advanced Auto Parts. I think it was like $99 or something. And I really like it. It's a one-handed shifter. It's got a reverse lockout, but it's not one of those that you need two hands to disengage, so it makes it really easy to shift quickly if you need to. I believe it is NHRA certified, but again, this car is not going to see a track, so I don't really care. I like the way it looks. Again, in the future, I may put a console in it, an original style shifter or something like that. This car originally was a 4-speed, which I'm actually purchasing a 4-speed for it here soon. It's just the transmission, so I'm going to have to collect everything else, a bell housing, a clutch, and pressure plate, and pedals, and linkage, and Z-bars, and all that stuff. So if anybody out there has a 66 Chevelle setup for a 4-speed, I need everything but a transmission. So again, you can put something down in the comments, or you can email me at dansgaragenc@gmail.com, and maybe we can work out a deal. Other than that, the gauges I actually got from GM Performance Parts. They're white face with the red bow tie. I really like the way these look. What I did was I took the stock gauges out and I disassembled it, and I made a plate that screws into the bezel. So even though I have all these aftermarket gauges in there, I can pretty much take them out and put the dash back the way it was. I'm not one for cutting up dashboards or making holes or doing any kind of altering to an original car if it doesn't need to be done. Again, if you've seen the radio episode of the ramp truck, even though that's an 84 and it's not really a specific vehicle that requires originality that anybody cares about, but I do like to keep things original, so I went with a custom auto sound radio in that one too. Other than that, the color, if anyone's interested, is not a 66 color. The color is actually a 2000 Volkswagen GTI racing red color. And it was just something, when I had it in the shop, the guy asked, "Are you keeping it red?" I said yes. He said, "I got the perfect color for you," and he painted it that color. I really wasn't too concerned with exactly what color it was. When I do the episode on putting the bucket seats in, probably just going to do the seats, but at some point this year I did want to redo the whole interior, get a new carpet, have the headliner redone, it's kind of fallen down, and recover the seats to original style. So most of the interior will be back to original, except for, like I said, I'm going to keep the gauges, the steering wheel, and the shifter because I do like them. If I go to the 4-speed, obviously that's going to change everything. Another future project on this car is going to be aligning the driver's side door. I've done the passenger door and got it pretty good, but it does require taking the front end off, the front bumper, the hood, and the fender in order to align the door correctly. So that's kind of going to be an in-depth thing. I'll probably do an episode on that because it's a pretty cool process. I did the passenger side. The gaps really need to be done, and I do plan on redoing this entire car at some point in the future. I want to take it off the frame completely. I'd like to clean up the frame, powder coat it, and go ahead and replace everything that needs to be replaced, including a new paint job, gapping everything, making sure it looks kind of perfect, putting a really nice quality paint job on it. Kind of making a show car, but I don't want to spend, 50 grand on it. But we'll see what happens. That's going to be after I get another project, since the C10's gone, and get that kind of up and running and to a position where I can be bringing it to car shows or cruises or hang out and driving with it before I go ahead and take this one completely apart. If I have a car like this that runs and drives and looks the way it does, why am I going to take it apart? I might as well enjoy it while I can. So when the next project comes in that's up to this level of drivability, then I'll go ahead and pull this thing apart. Hopefully by then, Dan's Garage will have at least doubled in size, or I'll have a lift and things that will make it a lot easier to work on. So back where we started, back inside, I hope you guys all enjoyed taking a little closer look at the Chevelle, and I would like to open it up to you guys. I'm kind of running out of vehicles around here. I do have some friends. I have some really cool vehicles coming up for the What You Working On series, but if any of you guys are working on a car, I know some of my other YouTube buddies, you're all working on cars. If you guys want to do a quick 5-minute or 10-minute video like this, just tell us a little bit about your car and who you are and everything. I'd love to promote your channel also, so we can kind of help each other out. A small channel's got to stick together. And of course, what goes along with that, everybody on YouTube says, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. I'm going to be doing a giveaway soon that you need to be notified of, so make sure you do that. And also share this channel if you know other people that enjoy car content. I know there's a ton of people out there watching garage-type YouTube channels, so I'd really appreciate it if you shared mine with your friends. And I'm going to go drive this thing around for a little bit. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.